highlighting the fact that the geography of FDI in OECD countries is highly uneven. In 2023, half of the total greenfield FDI in the OECD went to just 34 subnational regions out of 357. And as a result, growth in FDI since the pandemic shows significant within-country dispersion, as has been highlighted visually on this map, where green regions experienced a more than 100% change in inward greenfield FDI since the pandemic, whereas dark red indicates a more than 50% decline in FDI. And this reflects the fact that many regions continue to face significant bottlenecks that hinder investment. Investment promotion agencies often cite a lack of adequate skills and quality infrastructure, followed by a lack of a relevant pool of suppliers and clients as the most significant challenges faced by remote or less developed regions attracting FDI. That being said, recent shifts in global investment patterns suggest that the benefits of FDI are beginning to extend beyond traditional hotspots. The bottom 25% of regions concerning FDI inflows during the 2016 to 2019 period experienced on average a 9-fold increase in FDI inflows during 2020 to 2023, compared to the top 25% of regions, which experienced a more modest 30% increase. And this may reflect the recent pursuit of strategic and green investment that benefited a wide range of regions. For example, the eastern region of Central Anatolia in Turkey experienced more than a 200-fold increase from less than $1 million during 2016 to 2019 to $200 million during 2020 to 2023, attracting investments in metals extraction and solar panel manufacturing. And while these patterns do not yet indicate a structural shift, they present an important window of opportunity for regions to consolidate these gains and further strengthen their investment ecosystems. In this regard, in today's webinar, we will explore how different regions are seizing this moment to enhance their investment attractiveness and drive sustainable growth. So here we go. And as I just mentioned, green FDI has been on the rise, referring to FDI that promotes low carbon technologies such as renewable electricity, electronic components such as batteries, industrial equipment such as machinery needed to operate renewable energy facilities, and business services such as environmental consulting services that serve the climate transition. For example, globally, greenfield FDI in renewable energies increased from 1% of total greenfield FDI in 2003 to 26% in 2023. One notable element of the geography of green FDI has been that the availability of renewable energy sources is a key determinant of investment locations. As indicated on the map, where green dots show an accumulation of green FDI greater than 1% of regional GDP since the Paris Agreement at the end of 2015, and red dots show a less than 0.01% accumulation of FDI. Investments in renewable energy, there's a tendency for FDI in renewable energy to concentrate in coastal areas of Southern Europe, Scotland, Chile, and Australia, where there's higher potential for solar and wind energy generation. However, natural resource availability alone does not determine foreign direct investment. Other critical factors, such as national governments implementing climate-related policies, and local assets like land availability, specialized skills, and infrastructure also play a vital role, as our panelists today can attest. Another notable trend in FDI has been the increase in strategic FDI, which refers to investments in sectors deemed to be strategically important from a national security perspective. These are semiconductors, 5G infrastructure, green transition equipment, pharmaceutical ingredients, and critical minerals. Strategic FDI now comprises more than a third of total FDI inflows towards OECD countries, according to the data in recent years, of which green transition equipment and semiconductors comprise a significant share. National level industrial policy has been a critical factor determining strategic regional FDI flows. National security concerns have driven countries to actively pursue investments in strategic sectors by offering generous fiscal incentives and simplifying regulations. Semiconductor investments serve as a prime example, as shown on the map in green, Capital expenditure as a percent of regional GDP in semiconductors were highest in Saxony, Germany, and the Eastern and Midland region of Ireland, both of which attracted large investments from Intel, and Arizona, United States, and Kyushu, Japan, which received substantial investments from TSMC, a Taiwanese semiconductor manufacturer. Meanwhile, regional authorities have played a crucial role in developing and promoting location-specific assets. Regions have made various attempts to strengthen local SMEs and their local skills base to nurture a proficient labor force, which is an often cited factor driving investment decisions. For example, the Kyushu region of Japan that I just mentioned established a reskilling center to train local SMEs technical skills needed to integrate themselves with supply chains of advanced semiconductor manufacturers. Today, we will hear more about several regions' attempts in seeking to attract FDI in strategic sectors. And I now pass over to my colleague.
Thanks very much, Hugo, and so great to see everyone here today. It's my pleasure to move from the trends that we've just looked at to introducing a little bit about what we're exploring at the OECD about what one can actually do to influence FDI attraction and regional attractiveness writ large. So the way we look at it and what the evidence shows is that attracting FDI using only economic incentives and relying on economic data alone is not enough. Investors, like talent and visitors, do not discount the quality of life in the host region, or the infrastructure endowments, or the quality of the natural environment, or the availability of land, skills, and the offer in terms of public services. So at the OECD, what we do is we consider this multi-dimensional nature of regional attractiveness. And we've now worked with our network of over 40 regions spanning 15 countries to assess what some of these attractiveness assets, gaps, and opportunities are to strengthen the levers for attractiveness in a region. We do this by measuring each of these dimensions that you see on your screen and positioning regions relative to their domestic and international peers, but also through sort of a far-reaching analysis of successful attractiveness policies that are really transferable across comparable regions. And we've also figured out a little bit about what works for regional attractiveness. And among the drivers of FDI, of investment, what you see on your left, when we take all OECD regions together, we find a significant relationship between the presence of higher education institutions, or perhaps the skill and talent pipeline, and FDI inflows. But we also see a critical role for the quality of the digital and physical connectivity infrastructure. So trains, planes, and automobiles, but also Wi-Fi and broadband, and not only the access to it, but the quality of it. And other studies point to the importance of investment promotion activities themselves as an important lever in attracting FDI. Research by Riccardo Crescenzi, for example, and colleagues at the LSE point out that regional investment promotion agencies, or IPAs, have a really successful track record in attracting FDI, justifying their use as a policy tool. They show that less developed regions across Europe have been shown to capture 71% more FDI, equivalent to about USD 17 million per year, or up to 102 jobs, when with the presence of a subnational investment agency compared to those without one. And we're going to hear from some of those IPAs today about what those strategies actually tend to look like in practice. Now, one of the other tools that we're going to hear about today is the use of special economic zones. They're a tool that's increasingly popular in regional investment attraction. And broadly speaking, a special economic zone, or an SEZ, is a designated area within a country that offers fiscal incentives, regulatory exemptions, infrastructure support, all to attract investment, to boost industrialization and manufacturing, and to stimulate regional economic competitiveness and development through job creation, through innovation, and through enhanced trade. Special economic zones have been shown to be an effective tool in boosting regional competitiveness and local economic development. However, this is dependent on a few things, and in particular, the host region's ability to align that policy, the SEZ policy, with a higher level industrial policy framework within which it exists. For example, if the region is looking to bolster its capacity and competitiveness in manufacturing, the SEZ should be seen as a lever through which to achieve this. At the same time, the quality of institutions and the infrastructure endowments of the region are going to have an impact on the success of the SEZ policy. So they should be part of that same development strategy and not treated as two separate things. They also remain quite varied in their design and incentive types, which makes a general categorization or finding kind of clear-cut evidence a challenging feat. However, we can say a few general things about those that exist in OECD regional contexts, and we're also going to hear from some of them today. For one, they are principally about geographic targeting. Even where the boundaries are porous, the intention is to revitalize or to stimulate the economy of a certain area through investment attraction. For example, the French example you see there, France Ruralité Revitalisation, is a program that allows some exemptions on labor tax credits, corporate tax exemptions, social security exemptions in areas of France that have lost their industrial base or lost population over the years. They're also based on both fiscal and non-fiscal incentives, with the latter playing an increasingly important role, as we're going to hear today, for example, in the case of SEZ Unica in Italy. While they're often permitted by national legislation, their governance is also very much a place-based phenomenon, and it requires strong leadership from regional and local actors, especially to ensure that regional spillovers are maximized. And finally, they're best used as a tool to increase linkages between multinationals and the local economy. For example, through promoting innovation diffusion, through skills development, through procurement for local small and medium-sized enterprises. And we're going to hear a great example of that from the Lodz Polish SCZ that's here with us today. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to hand the floor over to Deirdre O'Connor from IDA Ireland, who's going to give us an excellent overview of a very successful strategy for investment attraction in the case of Ireland, and not only for the country writ large, but for its regions. So Deirdre, over to you, and thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you so much, and Hugo, thank you, Shi, for your presentation and for your overview as well. I might bring up my slides. Is that going to happen for me? Excellent. So I'm trying to move my slides on here.
I think you are able now.
Doesn't seem to be working, Maya, for me. Maybe you can move along, can you?
Sure.
It's probably easier, and I'll just tell you when I need to move on. So maybe if you can go to the first slide there, the next slide there, please, Maya. Excellent. So yes, I work for IDA Ireland, which is an autonomous government agency that was set up under statute about 75 years ago in Ireland. And our main remit, our main function is to partner with global investment with the view to attracting that investment to Ireland. And in as much as is appropriate and as much as is possible to direct some of that investment to regional locations. So our main focus is on staying agile and staying responsive to the latest trends or the latest moves in the modern economy, and ensuring that we adapt ourselves and are responsive to the needs of that type of investment. And we have a new strategy, which I'll come to in a few minutes, called Adapting Intelligently. And that's our next 5-year strategy, 2025 to 2029. And we have a whole range of initiatives and supports under that strategy that are intended to, first of all, attract investment into Ireland, and then, as I said, to direct that to regional locations where appropriate. I should say at the outset that, Ireland is a small country, it's a small economy, and our biggest city centre, our biggest city region is Dublin, and our strategy at all times is to ensure that Dublin remains the driver for the rest of the country, because of our size. Dublin is the only city region that we have that can really attract investment at scale. So that's our driving force. But we do also acknowledge that we need to spread investment throughout the country in an equitable way, and to achieve a better balance of development, a better balance of regional development. So the kind of supports that we offer are financial. So certainly we offer grant supports, subject to state aid rules, of course, for capital and employment. We also provide very strong support for research and development. I mean, it is only by being at the forefront of research and innovation that we can align ourselves to growth areas in a modern economy. And our strategy, our new strategy, is very focused on that area. But our supports aren't just financial. We also have a non-financial approach. So we do partner with with I suppose, a very pro-business ecosystem, and that includes engaging with local authorities and infrastructure providers in regional locations to ensure that the ecosystem is appropriate to attract foreign direct investment. And that mostly, but not always, includes, or not only, I should say, includes having a talent and a pool of very skilled workforce that is responsive to the needs of foreign direct investment. So we have research institutes, and we have a very close alliance with those research institutes and the third level education providers to ensure that the courses that are provided is responsive, so that we have a talent pool that I think is really understood and appreciated by our foreign direct investment partners. We also have a property program, which allows us to provide shovel-ready manufacturing and office type of solutions in regional locations, and that's been massively beneficial in terms of providing those property solutions in regional locations that where there might be market failure. So that's a major incentive and attraction to foreign direct investment to locate outside Dublin. Kind of areas that we're involved with are they those typical, you won't be surprised by our spread of company sectors. We're in the life sciences sector, in technology, consumer and business services. We're also very focused on engineering and the green economy. Next slide, please, Maya. So in terms of the contribution of FDI to the Irish economy, it's very sizable and it's growing. We have a small population by comparison to other European countries of about 5 million people, just over 5 million people. That population is growing at a fairly substantial rate. But foreign direct investment, the companies involved in FDI in Ireland contribute annually about 39 billion euro in terms of payroll and in terms of the purchase of Irish goods and services. In addition to that, we have capital investment annually of about between 13 and 14 billion euro. And overall, we have over 302,000 people employed. That's probably about 10% of our total number of people employed in the country, directly by foreign direct investment companies. And I would say probably the same again, maybe not quite, but probably the same again, employed indirectly. So in total, we have about 1,800, or just over 1,800 companies across the range of internationally mobile investment operating in Ireland. Next slide, please, Maya. So that's just a very quick overview of the type of companies that we are involved with. Some of them have been in the country for over 30 years, over 40 years in certain circumstances. And the piece on the right, I think, of my screen, I think, I suppose, captures quite nicely where Ireland is positioned in terms of attracting FDI projects relative to our population. So our population in terms of Europe is about, our share of population in Europe is about 4%, is just under 1%, but our share of FDI projects is 4%, which is ranks 7 overall in the European countries. So I think that's quite telling in terms of our success. Next slide, please, Maya. And just very quickly, in terms of where those people are employed, we have about 55% of our people involved in foreign direct investment are in regional locations. So that's about 55% of our client base. There's some movement in terms of where they're located. We have a very strong base in the southwest of the country. That's around the Cork area, and in the southeast as well. So our second cities are benefiting hugely by foreign direct investment, and that's something that we intend, and it's a very important prong of our strategy, for our new strategy that we intend to develop. Next slide, please, Maya. So this is just a very quick overview of our strategy, adapting intelligently. So we have 4 areas that we're focusing on. So we're about strengthening long-term investment. So that means that we're really embed ourselves with our existing client base to ensure that we understand exactly what their needs are and respond to those needs. We also obviously are very keen on winning new investment in terms of the dwindling pool of mobile investment. Our ambition is to continue to win new names on an ongoing basis, but really as well to make sure that we keep very close to our existing our client base to ensure we can respond to their needs. And by responding to needs, I'm also talking about driving sustainable change. So we're very focused on that twin transition towards digitalization and decarbonisation, one of the 4 Ds that are challenges in the modern economy. So the types of supports that we offer are very much focused, as you said in your presentation, and Hugo in your presentation as well. We're very focused on ensuring that we offer supports around decarbonisation and towards digitalisation, and that's our driving one of our 4 main quadrants. We're also looking at scaling cutting edge innovation. So we are very much focused on research and development and training. And we offer large supports on that, and our ambition for the next 5 years is to secure €7 billion in investment in R&D. And as I said previously, it's only by being at the forefront of innovation that we can tap in and capture the next wave of green and digitally enabled investment. We are focused very much on maximising regional opportunities, and the way we go about doing that is that it's yes, we offer financial supports, but as you said in your presentation, Michael, it's not just about financial supports. We again embed ourselves with our clients in terms of what their needs are, and we try in as much as we can to ensure that that local economy responds to those needs. First of all, in terms of the property offering that we provide. But also in terms of ensuring that there's a connection between business and the needs of business and the products that are offered, or the courses that are offered by our 3rd level institutions and our research centres. So we intend to to continue to create jobs in the economy. Nationally, in our strategy, we're hoping to create an additional 75. Our target is to create an additional 75,000 new jobs and upskill 40,000 people. That's upskilling piece is extremely important in terms of ensuring that we remain relevant, particularly in regional locations. Next slide, please, Maya. Yes, very briefly, our value proposition is centered really around our people and our place. So it's about having that partnership approach and ensuring that our talent is responsive to needs. It's also about ensuring quality of life environment, and some of our regional locations don't have the same infrastructural constraints and challenges that Dublin might have. So that can be beneficial in attracting foreign direct investment to those locations. We also have a very stable political system. I think we're one of the very few countries that had elections recently that returned the incumbents, more or less returned the incumbents. And that means we have a consistent and proactive ecosystem, pro-business ecosystem, and that's been hugely beneficial. That stability and that consistency has been hugely beneficial in providing the sort of certainty that foreign direct investment likes when it's moving to location. Next slide, please. So just in terms of where we're located, this map just shows our regional locations, which tally with our national planning framework. So Ireland has a national planning framework, which is essentially it's a spatial strategy. And that framework seeks to manage the anticipated population growth between 2022 and 2040. We're anticipating our population is going to grow by about 1 million people in that period. And that growth is going to be mostly driven by migration. And we can't continue our current situation where most of that growth is concentrated in Dublin. So our national planning framework is very much focused on balancing the distribution of growth of that population growth. So the idea is that our regional cities of Cork, Waterford, Limerick and Galway and our regional growth centres throughout the country will accommodate or capture 55% of that growth. And that means these regions really need to be really good at placemaking and urban placemaking. And so therefore we need to have access to quality and affordable housing. We need to have access to community facilities. We need to have quality infrastructure, and we need to have good 3rd level institutions that are responsive to the needs of the foreign direct investment. So that's what our focus is on in that national planning framework. And because of what we do in the IDA, we have the ability with our national partners to provide a real cohesion to our national planning framework objectives, or to the achievement of our national planning framework objectives. I think this next slide is my final slide. Yeah, which is really just an overview of what we do in terms of our property offering. So again, this is our strategy for 2020 to 2029. And this is these are the locations that you can see the spread throughout the country where we intend providing new building locations, which will act as an incentive to bring foreign direct investment to locations that probably would not otherwise attract these companies. So really, to do the work, the IDA needs to be at the forefront of innovation in research and development so that we can tap into that next generation. And I think, we are, I suppose, very alive to the main challenges that we have around deglobalization as regionalization as the pool of FDI is getting smaller, and those challenges are getting stronger. So our objective is to be reactive and responsive, and to understand how the global economy is moving, and to ensure that we move with it. That concludes my presentation. I hope you found that useful.
Thank you very much, Deirdre. I'll just hand the floor over to our moderator, Andres Rodriguez Pose. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Michael, and thank you very much, Deirdre. We are in a situation that the world is changing, and it's changing fast, and the events in the last few days have shown it. And as Deirdre's presentation has shown, you need to be proactive if you want to keep ahead of the competition, and if you want to keep dynamic in this changing world. And of course, in the case of Deirdre's, it's a presentation for the whole country, but it applies to many spaces across the world in which you need to be able to keep on attracting foreign direct investment and sustainable foreign direct investment, but also try to create the instruments and the mechanisms through special economic zones and through industrial parks, for example, as one example, in order to make sure that you are creating the conditions, focusing on the people and the place, focusing on the, let's say, legislative framework, the political stability that Deirdre was talking about, and creating the right ecosystems for these places to become attractive and to flourish. So what we're going to be doing now is looking into the different aspects that I think are important in order to analyze what's going to happen and how do we go about this in different parts of the world. In three sections. First, we're going to look at attracting sustainable investments in the OECD regions and what are the lessons and the key lessons from the field. Then we're going to go into a section that is going to deal with leveraging special economic zones and industrial parks for resilient regional development, before concluding with the idea of laying the foundation for successful special economic zone policies and what are the national frameworks and certifications that are needed in order to do that. And to do that, we have a series of experts that are going to go in depth into their cases before we'll allow the floor to actually ask questions. And please use the question and answer facility that you have in front of you to ask questions to any of the speakers when you see. So let me just start with the first part, which is first section, attracting sustainable development in the OECD regions and the lessons from the field. And it's my great pleasure to introduce Graham White, who is the Global Head of Inward Investment Strategy and New Investment at the Scottish Development International. So Graham, you have 10 minutes and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And hello, everybody. Yeah, Graham White, I manage a global team of inward investment specialists focused on attracting companies to come and locate in Scotland. We work across a range of industries where Scotland has strengths and scale. So renewable energy, digital and data, life sciences, and space. So space is an interesting one. You might not think of Scotland for space, but we have two vertical takeoff sites, one of whom should have its first launch in September later on this year. And Glasgow as a city produces more small satellites than any other European city. So space is on our menu as well. Can I have the next slide, Maya? As Deirdre said, the market for FDI is challenging, and we're seeing that's only going to become worse as we go forward. But we remain optimistic and positive. The UK itself, for us, provides us competition in attracting companies to come into Britain. But Scotland, under research by Ernst & Young, Scotland has shown itself to be the most attractive site for inward investment outside of London in the southeast of England for the last 6 years. Next slide, please. So I'm going to talk more specifically about a small area of sustainable FDI, and that is around green energy. So Scotland has a large ambition around offshore wind. We have a program called ScotWind, which once it's built out will provide 30 gigawatts of green energy from the North Sea from offshore wind. Scotland itself uses 5 gigawatts of energy, and we already have onshore wind and hydro. So we have a lot of renewable energy anyway. So this is going to provide us with an opportunity to use that energy to attract inward investment. First part of the opportunity that we've looked at is the equipment that's going to be required to bring that wind energy onshore, and the supply chain into that industry. So companies manufacturing cables, turbines, nacelles, blades, that type of thing, large scale production that it's good to have close to where the energy production is going to be. So we've been looking at that area. The next opportunity that we have will come on the back of that is that we'll be trying to attract companies in the hydrogen market to manufacture hydrogen in Scotland. In terms of the FDI around about that, we're actively targeting electrolyzer manufacturers, companies that manufacture hydrogen storage and transportation. But this excess green power also will provide us opportunities in what we call power to X. So how do we use the green power in manufacturing? And that's already attracted data centers to look at Scotland. But there are manufacturing opportunities as well. All manufacturing companies will be looking to have a zero carbon product within a short period of time. And so, areas such as, green iron, recycling steel, synthetic airline fuels, biofuels, fertilizers, they're now on our target list for FDI. And then, moving into other areas of green tech and data, where we have a lot of strengths in areas such as AI and quantum. So look at how we can use that to attract green tech and data. Next slide, please. So diving into a little bit of detail about how we go about this. So obviously the first thing that we do is to look to prioritize the opportunities across the industries that we have and align them to our FDI activity. We then look at how we match our offering to the requirements of companies across the areas that Deirdre talked about in terms of locations, of staff, who are my customers going to be, who's going to be in my supply chain, and build a proposition there. We then test that proposition internationally using our guys in field to go and speak to companies and get their feedback. We then use a suite of research tools that we have, things like FDI Markets, Gazelle, or CB Insights to begin to create a target list. More and more, we're now using AI to support us in that targeting activity. And then we look at how we apply our Team Scotland approach. So, looking at the opportunities with our trade envoys, our global Scots who are Scots and people who love Scotland who live abroad, and our local authorities, how we pull all that group together to start to target and reach out to companies. what we find is that this gives us a really flexible and agile approach to build a proposition to take out to market. It's creating real opportunities, commercial opportunities, based on gaps and future markets that are going to be developed in Scotland. We're looking to develop really high quality propositions that we can take to companies, and we take the strong team approach as to how we actually open the doors in businesses to have those conversations. Next slide, please. So the role that we play is that we help support and guide companies to help them to locate in Scotland, as well as providing support to the global companies who already have a footprint in here in Scotland, to help them to grow and establish themselves here. I think that we understand the challenges for mobile projects. You know, the landing of a mobile project, the large scale investment that they make, everything doesn't run smoothly, but we understand that, and we make it very clear to companies at the outset that that's something that we're there for, is to help navigate them through the route to a successful location. And we can help them cut through the clutter of the public sector, of funding sources, of finding and training staff. And we have access to a wide range of partners, networks, and funders that can help to support companies to make the decision to come to Scotland and to land here. Next slide, please. So in terms of funding and grants, I'm never one to lead with funding and grants, and I always like my team to leave the conversations about funding till as late in the process. Really keen that companies come here to locate in Scotland that are going to make a home here for 30 to 50 years, and you know, the funding that we can give them to prime that is fantastic. But you know, there needs to, the stronger the commercial reason for them being here, the better for me. But in terms of funding and grants, we can provide assistance with capital and recruitment, training, support for R&D from the very early stages to commercialization, support for companies' carbon objectives. We can, through the Scottish National Investment Bank, support early stage investment in businesses and growth investment to allow them to establish. And with our partners in the trade team, we can support companies to internationalize as well. Next slide, please. So I just thought you might find this interesting. This is our footprint, Scotland's footprint globally, with 100 plus staff based overseas across 23 countries. Most of the staff that work in these offices are local hires, and you know, they're all very passionate about Scotland. It's fantastic to work with them all. So look, thank you for your time. That's my presentation.
Thank you very much, Graham, and thank you very much for staying within time. And now we're moving to, we stay on the field, but we're moving to the leveraging special economic zones and industrial parks from resilient regional development for resilient regional development. And we have two fantastic examples, and it's my pleasure to introduce the case of the Łódź Special Economic Zone that is going to be led by Piotr Matulka. So Piotr, if you can start your presentation, and you have 10 minutes, please.
Thank you very much. I think I will need also an assistant of Maya to switch the slides, and I'll also ask to move them. So if you could move to the first of them. Okay, the situation of Poland was pretty complicated in the 90s, especially because of the transformation, and the problem that was probably the biggest of all was the level of unemployment, depending on the region. It was in some of the regions, it was even 30%. So we were looking for any workplaces created by international companies, by the FDIs that would come to Poland, which was not as attractive at that time. And the economic zones were created in 1997, and the main goal was to attract new investments. And the incentive that was offered and still is offered by Polish special economic zones is an income tax exemption. That was the beginning, and it happened to be very successful. And thanks to the situation that we've already had lots of huge investments, big industrial companies, the plans have changed by the years. So we've decided to change the policy. And if we could move to the other slide, that would be great. Yes. First, before, so the special economic zones in Poland were created before joining the European Union, which happened in 2004. And since then, all the functioning of special economic zones is being regulated by European Union regional policy, which is responsible for setting up certain levels of support from different sources. It can be, of course, an income tax exemption, and it can be combined with cash grants, also, for example, preferential loans, depending on which region the investment is going to be located in. The less wealthy the region is, the bigger level of unemployment in the region is, the level of public support is higher. The idea was to create new workplaces to attract huge companies, and it worked perfectly. If we could move to another slide. Since in 2018, where Polish government decided that any workplaces is more than enough, we were looking for some new and more attractive workplaces for, and also to find some solution for Polish companies to benefit from this incentive, which from big income tax exemption. The rules were changed before. If you would wanted to invest in Polish special economic zones, you had to establish your company in certain regions. Since 2018, it doesn't matter what the region is, no matter what the place, the size of the companies, you can benefit from this kind of incentive in any of the regions in Poland. And it still is an income tax exemption as the main incentive that is granted to entrepreneurs implementing new investments on the basis of the document that we issue on behalf of Ministry of right now Development and Technology. Before it was the Ministry of Finance, and we as a governmental agency work on behalf of Ministry, and we issue the decision on support also on behalf of Ministry. Thanks to that, the procedures are very quick and swift. Before it was much more complicated. The next slide, please. As you see on this slide, the level of public support in Poland is different, depending on the location, depending on the attractivity of the region, depending on the level of unemployment, the number of FDIs in the region. The wealthier the region is, the level of public support is lower. Thanks to that, although it doesn't work really that way, we are looking forward to develop the regions, especially in the eastern part of Poland, that are still lacking new investment, big investment, and the level of unemployment in these regions is still higher, but it is changing. Next slide, please. As I said before, the main incentive we do have is an income tax exemption for new investments, which from the perspective of local authorities, of local government, is not a huge burden, because only 6% of CIT goes to the local budget, which because the rest is the burden, the rest is the thing that is provided by the national budget. The income tax exemption is 19% in Poland, so you are exempted from this up until your level of support is used, and you have 14 years as an entrepreneur to use this public support. So there are of course different types of local governments of government incentives, but what also comes from the investment of FDIs in the local society, and you are still not exempted from them. Real estate tax from the new investments, of course, also local taxes paid by the investor, and also from by the people who work for those companies. Also, of course, creation of new workplaces. All the companies are really looking forward to participate in local investment and CSR. That's what's it's still very strong in Poland. And of course, the conditions right now on the decision on support secure maintenance of the investment. So when when we are issuing a decision on support, there are some certain criteria that have to be met by the company that secure the presence for a couple of years from issuing the decision on support. Next slide, please. The thing that I want to stress out is let's say, kind of success story of Łódź Special Economic Zone, and is that thanks to Special Economic Zone, the central region of Poland became a capital city of household appliances producers. It all started with special economic zones and investments of Bosch Siemens Holding, Indesit, then Whirlpool, and right now Beko or Miele, which attracted lots of suppliers and subsidiaries into the region, and that created a huge environment of the companies that are still working perfectly together. After those investments, lots of logistics and warehousing companies also came to Łódź Special Economic Zone and also to central Poland and created a connection network. And also all the other companies somehow connected to the business of household appliances also are present there in central Poland for a couple of years already. And that was, and everything that came right after had a huge impact on creating new highways, roads, and of course creating skilled workforce, and of course also the life standard and cultural potential. As I said, the CSR activities from all the companies are still very important for them, which made the environment in central Poland somehow and very well connected to household appliances capital city. And the level of public aid in Łódź Special Economic Zone, I will stop for a moment here, is one of the highest in Poland. We are divided into 3 regions. And the main one is the Łódzkie Voivodeship. We have also a part of Greater Poland and Mazowieckie Voivodeship with Warsaw as a capital city. Apart from this basic level of public support, we also have 2 different regions that are additionally supported. First of them is the region of the southern part of Łódzkie Voivodeship, which is right now under just transition plan, and because of the biggest electric plant and lignite mine are going to be shut down up to 2014, and approximately 70,000 people do work for the companies, those companies, and also for the businesses that are around. They are granted with higher level of public support, and the same situation we have with Konin region, which is on the western part of Łódź Special Economic Zone, where we have special programs for the employee trainings, and they are provided by European Union. Next slide, please. Here is an example of minimum level of investment costs from the companies that would like to establish themselves in Łódź Special Economic Zone on our territory, depending, as I said, depending on the level of unemployment, depending on how wealthy the region is, the level is higher. The region is wealthier, the level is higher. We have also a few communes and few counties that have a special status of towns losing their potential because of, for example, there was a huge company or there was a huge coal mine, for example, in the region, and it was shut down a couple of years ago. And lots of people, there were lots of people looking for new jobs and new possibilities. So the level of minimum investment cost was the lowest to attract more new investments. Next slide, please.
Piotr, we're going to have to rush because there
Yeah,
are
sure,
quite a
of
lot
course. So I'm speeding up. Okay, so we have to when you are investing in good special economic zone, you have to, of course, maintain your job, maintain already existing job, create new ones. You have to maintain the investment for 3 or 5 years, and you have to comply with a few criteria. Next slide, please. One of them is qualitative criteria. I won't stop for a lot at that. What's important, you have to be somehow connected to local activities and to local societies to be a beneficiary of a special economic zone. Next slide, please. I think that one of the most important parts is a administrative fee that we are that is regulated by the law, and each of the investor is supposed to pay a certain amount of percentage of total investment cost, which is designated for special economic zone for buying new plots, investing in local infrastructure, in local roads, building cell phone production halls for rent, and also CSR activities. That is a very successful program and it works perfectly. Next slide, please. We also have subsidy vouchers for the people and the companies who would like to train themselves, and you can receive back up to 85% of training costs thanks to this program, which is also part of our activities. Next slide, please. And what's also very important and what's should be stressed with, there was a huge gap in vocational education in Poland for a couple of years. It wasn't very attractive for young people in Poland. That's why we've decided to as a part of changing plan to create our own technical school of automation and robotics. We also have courses of mechatronics, and it's very successful. We've had it for 6 years already, and right now more and more students are getting interested in this type of education. Next slide, please. To sum it up, the number of investment projects is over 720 and created workplaces thanks to investments in special economic zone. With special economic zone is over 110,000. And okay, so here we have the biggest investing companies in which special economic zone. And last 3 slides will be about the events that we organize. We are also very digitally oriented. We organize huge investment dedicated to new technologies, thanks to also a startup accelerator. And it's one of the biggest technological events in Poland organized by Łódź Special Economic Zone. Next slide, please. As I said, we are the capital of household appliances business, and that's why we've decided to organize a huge summit, the biggest summit of household appliances producers in the world. That is our own event that has already took place 7 times. That's dedicated mostly to the CEOs of the big household appliances companies. And the last one, we also are looking created a new idea to attract or to help Polish companies find a way to different regions of the world. We are organizing events dedicated to certain region, and then we are also, of course, we are inviting some specialists, some companies, some people who are very well experienced in this matter, and we have lots of participants taking place in those activities. Thank you very much. Sorry for being late.
Thank you very much, Piotr.
Thank
So
you.
very quickly, we move now to the other side of the Atlantic, all the way to Guatemala. And there's going to be Martin Lopez, who's going to be presenting the case of the Synergy Industrial Park in Escuintla. So Martin, if you're there, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity to sharing what we are doing in Guatemala. We are a new industrial development, which is not only a special economic zone, but also industrial park. Because in Guatemala, we have different kind of incentives programs for foreign companies that are trying to establish here and exporting to the most important market in the world, which is the North American market. I will try to get the control of the screen. I don't know if we can do it.
You have it now.
No, so maybe you can help me, Maya, with that. Next slide, please. Something that is very important. We are located right next to the biggest market in the world. The Guatemala is the next country down Mexico, and we have access to not only to the United States of America and Mexico through a free trade agreement, but also to Central America. But before going forward, I would like to highlight some facts about Guatemala. Guatemala is the biggest country in the region, the biggest economy. We are 18 million people. We have a very young population here. The average of age is 25 years old. So we have a demographic bonus, which is very important for companies that are trying to invest in Central America. We are the biggest economy of the region. And we also have 14 trade agreements or free trade agreements with more than 45 countries, including Europe. That gives us an advantage for imports and exports, and also something that maybe is not very well known in other countries is Guatemala is the most stable economy in the region. We have our currency and exchange rate has been stable for the last 30 years. And we are very, very stable economy and a stable democracy. So that's important for foreign investor to bring their investment to Guatemala. Also, we have this new development, which is led by two leaders in companies in Guatemala. One is Pantaleon Group. Pantaleon Group is the number 8 sugar producer in the world. We export to more than 40 countries. We have 23,000 employees in our company. And it's a transformation from a sugar mill into an industrial park and a special economic zone, because we consider that we have to create better opportunities for people in Guatemala to stay in the country. We have a very challenging situation here because people want to leave the country and go to America to get better opportunities. So we are bringing opportunities to the people to stay. As you can see in my slide, you will find here our location. We are very close to the border with Mexico, which is very important for us for all the trade. And we are very close to the Pacific seaport, which is one of the most important seaports in Central America. We receive there 65% of the imports coming from Asia, United States, and Mexico. And not only imports, actually from this seaport, which is our name is Puerto Quetzal, we are 4 days ago away from Long Beach and LA. And so it's very close for us to get to the American market. Next, please. Inside of our industrial park, we have these public special economic development zones. This is a new version of a free trade zone that was very common here in Central America, but this kind of special economic zone offers several benefits but what you can do there is produce, manufacturing, transformation, distribution, storage, and conservation, and also you can do some marketing activities like packaging, repackaging, handling, and any other activities or operations related to exports and imports. Next, please. Right now, in Guatemala, there are 17 special economic zones. Most of them are related to final users. Only 4 are made by developers like us. What is the difference? That we open a free economic zone or a special economic zone, and we can receive companies there, and they can have some benefits that I will share in the next slide, please. What are the benefits of operating in a CDIP? Is 100% exemption of income taxes for 10 years, a temporary suspension of import tariff duties, value-added taxes, and other import charges, exemption from VAT for taxable events and acts carried out within the CDIP, 100% exemption from import and export rates for machinery, equipment, raw materials, and supplies, and also the difference with the free trade zone that you can not abandon your goods in that area. This is being very successful in Guatemala. We have several companies already operating here. And it's important because they can become a logistic hub. They can import their products from Mexico or from Asia, and they can deliver it inside of Central America, South America, and also to the United States without paying any tax. And that's a good advantage for our country, regarding that we are very close to the American market. Next, please. Another advantage that we offer as an industrial park, I mean, not only the special economic zone, but also the industrial park, is that we bring economic development to the country and we improve people's quality of life. That's our main goal for having this infrastructure, which is a first-class infrastructure, very similar to what you will find in Europe, in the United States, and Mexico. We said a couple of years ago, we say, why not? We can do it as a country and as a company. And we are very visionaries in our way of doing business. So we are very focused and very committed to bring more opportunity to Guatemalan people. Next, please. Our value proposition is to develop industrial and logistics solutions that increase our customers' competitiveness. Why? Because we deliver a lot of services and utilities with a lower cost than the market, but also with more reliability than the market. So we have several advantages, and also we are part of a new, a bigger master plan, and we are developing a new city. As you can see there, we are almost 5,000 hectares of land, which become the new Escuintla city. As you can see in the picture, in the bottom of the picture is the current city of Escuintla, which is about 225,000 people. And the size of the colored area is bigger than the other one. And we are developing the industrial park in the orange spot, and all the green area is going to be a new city. We will have a housing, parks, education, health, hotel, entertainment. And it's very important because our anchor is going to be the job creation. The people need to have a job for buying a house or for living in a new city. So this is a holistic concept. And that's very, very important to have the free or the special economic zone in this development. Next, please. I'm gonna skip this slides very quick. This is our project where we are going to be in the next 5 years. Please, next. This is the kind of infrastructure that we find. A lot of security. Something that is very important to mention is that Guatemala is the most secure or safe country in Central America. That's a very important topic to highlight. You can see the infrastructure is very high-end. And next, please. And the people is very important. If you see the population of Escuintla City, as I mentioned before, but if we take a radius of 25 kilometers around the park, you will find more than 500,000 people. It's economic, active people that ready to work. And we consider 25 kilometer radius because it's a 20 to 30 minutes commuting time. And it's important for us to get the labor force close to the industrial park.
Martin, can you please wrap up so we can?
Yes, I have a couple of slides for finishing my presentation. Something that is important is a training school. This is a public training school. We work together with them, and we can design the programs specifically for the companies that are installed in our industrial park. And next, please. And we have as I mentioned, a lot of services and utilities, energy, a lot of water, fiber optics, diesel gas station, and logistic share services. Please, next. And finally, but not less important, we are very committed with sustainability. We are pursuing the LEED certification for the whole park, the whole industrial park. And we already have 1 million square meters of green areas inside of the park, which is 100 hectares. And that made us carbon-free since the beginning of the project. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Martin. I'm very conscious of the time, and I apologize for the next speakers, but I will ask them to be brief in order to give some time for the numerous questions that are coming from the audience. But in order to do this, what we need to also have successful special economic zones, to have the right and adequate national certifications and frameworks. So I'm going to give the floor now to Gaia Floquet, who is the Director of Strategic Planning, the Strategic Planning Department, single, as I said, for the entire territory of southern Italy, which is ZES Unica. So Gaia, the floor is yours. I'm not sure if I'm the only one, but I cannot hear you.
Okay.
Now we
Can
can,
you hear
yes.
me now? Okay, perfect. Since January the 1st, 2024, Southern Italy has been unified into a single special economic zone, including all 8 regions of Southern Italy, that is Abruzzo, Basilicata, Calabria, Campania, Molise, Puglia, Sicily, and Sardinia. The aim of this new model was to strengthen the economic fabrics as well as to attract new investments. And the idea was that the Southern Italy could transform into a strategic, logistical, and industrial hub and strengthen its territories as well. We wanted to eliminate the fragmentation which characterized the previous systems. We had different special economic zones, small special economic zones, almost based in ports. And the idea was that we could have a more targeted approach and more coordinated and efficient approach. Maya, could we go to the other next slide, because I can do it myself apparently. Okay. The strategic plan for the special economic zone has been approved last year on October the 31st, 2024, and is a result of a shared process which involved institution and economic stakeholders as well. In April, we have 15 technical meetings with all authorities, and a public debate was engaged with both public and private stakeholders. The idea is to embrace a supernatural vision, strengthening southern Italy's competitiveness, and also to maintain and to exalt the characteristics of each region, so that southern Italy could fully develop its economic potential, but as well we wanted to root our strategy and to maintain every single region's specificity. Could we go to the next slide, please? The strategic plan identifies 9 main strategic product chains and 3 cross-cutting technologies. We identify 5 strategic production chains based on the index of regional specialization, and these supply chains which have been identified with this method have been agribusiness and agro-industry, tourism, electronics and ICT, automotive, and high-quality made in Italy. And then we identified other 4 supply chains based on the economic potential, the economic growth. We identified a series of parameters to choose these supply chains, which were the competitiveness of the production chains, the international projection, the labor market, the skills and planning and technological frontier. And these 4 supply chains are chemicals and pharmaceuticals, marine and shipbuilding, aerospace, and railways. And then we decided to bet on 3 cross-cutting technologies, which are deep tech, clean tech, and biotechnology, which are we have been inspired by STEP regulation, European STEP regulation. So we can go to the next step, next, please. The special economic zone offer investors various array of advantages. One is the most important one is a fast-track permitting process for starting new projects, which is the single authorization, which allows investors to gather all the projects, all the permits they need from different government bodies through a single authorization by submitting just one application through a one-stop shop, and to obtain all the authorization they need. It's a way of streamlining bureaucracy. And in addition to these, there is a wide range of incentives such as tax credit, and other incentives for investors. Next slide, please. And the single authorization is this innovative tool which allows investors to gather all the authorization they need through a one-stop shop, which can be reached by a single digital desk from the mission structure website. It allows bureaucracy simplification. Business can apply easily, and the permit process is very quick. Single authorization is issued in more or less 30 days as a medium. And it can also, when necessary, it can also constitute a urban planning variation, which is very useful as to streamlining bureaucracy. We can go to the next. In 2024, we had the first impacts of this new model. 416 authorizations were issued with 2.4 billion investments, and allowing to 7,732 more job units. which is a very flattering result for our first year. And next slide, please. The investors can benefit from tax credit on capital goods, such as machinery, plants, and equipment for production facilities located in the these regions. And for 2024, 2.55 billion of tax credit were requested. And the Italian budget law allocated other 2.2 billion euros for 2025. So the business participation has been important. There has been an high engagement for companies. More than 6,800 applications were submitted for the first year. The investment impact of this tax credit has been important. Over 5 billion have been invested in development projects just for 2024. And next slide, please. So to sum up, the ZES Unica with this mechanism in place, it's a fully integrated development engine, and it can bet on the synergy between business companies, universities, and research centers to gather global investments and to make southern Italy a real logistical hub at the heart of the Mediterranean, so as to reaffirm Italy's position as a reliable and competitive destination for international investors. So that would be the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Gaia. And without further ado, we move to the last presentation to Camila Moreno, and who is the Trade and Policy Analyst at the Trade and Agricultural Directorate of the OECD. And Camila will ask you also to be brief so we can have a few minutes to actually ask the questions that are coming from the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, moderator. And thank you, of course, to all CFE for this team, for this kind invitation. So since I'm the last one, I decided to do a quiz. And that way I'm going to be very brief with all of you and try to wrap up everything that has been discussed. So let's start with a quiz. I invite you to join. I don't know if you have used it on the past. This one, Menti. Are you seeing my screen? You go to menti.com and then you use this code. 86590076. So let me go. I have to stop sharing so I can present the results. So let me know if you are able to join the quiz right now.
Camila, can you please repeat the code?
Okay, it's 86590076. You're gonna see it on my screen right now. So I can start seeing the results. And what I find fascinating about this exercise is that depending where I go and I deliver a speech on free trade zones, special economic zones, the results are different. So, well, we can see infrastructure support, incentives, clusters, economic development, tax reduction, CEDEPs. So Martin, it's very, unless it was your answer, but we can see that people were paying attention to your FDI, confidence, economic development, economic incentives. Well, that's great. We have almost 30 people. Manufacturing, growth, industry, tax breaks. Well, this is great. So we're gonna move to the next question. And here, how many free trade zones operate worldwide? And here, it's interesting because we have so many definitions for free trade zones. So we can find it as special economic zones, free trade zones. Martin talked about CEDEPs. We were with the presentation of Madame Floquet with how they're called in Italy. So, well, this is a bunch of numbers. So it's 5,000, 1,000, 7,500. So the correct answer right now is around 7,000 special economic zones worldwide, including all these terminologies, and they're calculated more or less 70 kinds of terminologies. And the last one, and I refer to these ones because my background comes from the Latin American Free Trade Zone Association. So it's how many free trade zones operate in Latin America and the Caribbean? So 300, 800, 1,000. Well, 300. So the correct number is 800 actually, right now, according to the latest report for the Latin American free trade zones. It's more than 800. So let me stop. Congratulations to the winners. So let's move. I know that I have a very short time, so I'm gonna do this presentation very brief. I already told you some details during the presentation. So in terms of trends, and I think well, we all learned a lot from the different presentations that we have been delivered during this afternoon. I just pointed out, I would like just to point out some of the trends that we are seeing worldwide in terms of sustainability. All these green hydrogen, solar panels in the warehouses to create more energy capacity for the manufacturing. That one is a very big one that we're seeing in all the industrial parks, in all these special economic zones. Talent and this linkage with academia is extremely important. We have even free trade zones that create linkages with the academia based on what the factories inside the free trade zones required. So they give a survey to all manufacturers within the zone and ask them what kind of skills you required from your talent. And they say, let's say, if they have call centers, for example, well, we require more bilingual people. So they dedicate and they have this linkage with the academia and prepare them for, let's say, bilingual for call centers, just to give you an example. It can be inside the free trade zones and others outside of the free trade zones or special economic zones. Then there's a shift also in technology. And this one is raising, especially for data centers. So more and more data centers are required in free trade zones. First, because they require energy 24/7. They cannot be 1 second without energy. And they have found these special economic zones to deliver good energy, also safety, because usually they are fenced, even though in some special economic zones we see that they're not fenced, but at least they have very high security measures. Digital infrastructure, so of course everything is in the cloud. They're using data management systems more and more to see what the merchandise that is coming inside or outside of the zones. And very relevant production shifts, and many of the speakers today will show some of the experiences, how some of them are shifting from one economy to the other to be closer to the final consumer, how to optimize, how to be more competitive in terms of regional capacities, and transparency. So in here, and I want to be very, very brief, at OECD in the Trade Directorate, we are working right now on the OECD Free Trade Zone Certification Scheme, which comes from a recommendation from the member countries. And this certification scheme has a code of conduct. So what we have developed with this code of conduct, it's a tangible certification scheme where any free trade zone or special economic zone can comply with certain criteria. It is a public-private partnership. We work together between the OECD, the free trade zones, and the TIC companies, which is the testing, inspection, certification industry. Companies like SGS, maybe you recall SGS, Bureau Veritas, TÜV. These are the companies that we are working with. And you might ask, okay, but maybe I haven't heard that much about the certification. Well, it's because we are in the pilot phase. So before launching this to all the free trade zones in the world, we are working together with the pilots. Recently, and you're part of the first community that we celebrate the first free trade zone, pilot free trade zone. We conducted the certification last week, and we are happy to announce that it's going to be the first OECD free trade zone certified worldwide. We spent there 2 days with different auditors around the world, and well, I can tell you from the business perspective that it was easy, it was fast.
Camila, I'm afraid I'm going to have to cut you there.
Okay.
Because we have to wrap up at 5 o'clock. I'm sorry, it's very interesting, but we ran out of time. And what I'm going to ask, I mean, we are not going to have time for questions. It's a pity because there were quite a lot of questions. I had questions, the questions coming from the audience, but I'm going to ask everyone in the panel to reflect. There was questions from Marko Čorić that I thought were very interesting. For example, the first one is, and this is for all members of the panel. So when determining which strategies or which FDI to try to attract, to what extent do decision makers and do the companies involved in, for example, in attraction of FDI, consider the existing industrial and technological basis to facilitate related diversification? And how often is this approach feasible? But also, he's asking another question, which I think is also very interesting, which is fundamentally related to the whole idea that special economic zones and foreign direct investment and industrial parks are not just there to generate new products and new ideas, but also to create synergies and to create spillovers that benefit and create jobs for the local population and improve local firms. So he asked, to what extent are regionally significant companies consulted when strategizing FDI attraction, particularly in enhancing value chain advantages within their industry? Is there evidence of best practices where this consultation has led to more effective regional development? I'm afraid we're not going to have time to develop these answers. I would have loved to hear what you said, but the team will be forwarding all the questions to the relevant speakers, and they will share also the replies to everyone that has participated. And also, I'm just now going to wrap up, thank all the presenters, and pass the floor to Michael Flood, who is going to conclude with this very interesting and enlightening webinar. Thank you very much. Michael, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Andres, for again very capably moderating the webinar. Again, apologies on the questions. There was just so much interesting information there. I don't think we wanted to skip over any of it, but I know that this is just maybe the beginning of deeper conversations on this. We invite you all to become part of our Rethinking Regional Attractiveness network, which is ever growing and growing, and we have a lot of exciting outputs and projects upcoming. In the chat, you'll see a recent blog that we penned on how special economic zones can spur regional attractiveness. And some of the findings that Hugo and myself presented earlier are also part of a forthcoming working paper on attracting green and strategic FDI in OECD regions coming out this March. So please watch for that, and we'll of course share that link with you. So just wanted to thank everyone from the team, the Regional Attractiveness team here at the OECD CFE, and wishing you all a wonderful evening or morning wherever you are, and look forward to having you join us next time. Thanks, and goodbye.